Every year, one thing is always predictable. Postage costs go up. Stamps.com gives you crazy discounts of up to 89% off USPS and UPS services, so your business will barely notice the change. Stamps.com has been indispensable for over 1 million businesses just like yours. It's like your own personal post office. No lines, no traffic, no waiting. Sign up with promo code PROGRAM for a 4-week trial plus free postage and a free digital scale. No long-term commitments or contracts. That's Stamps.com, code PROGRAM.
Welcome guys to Heavy Metal Tones with me, your podcast, Tony Evans. Again this week is a interview that I recorded for Metal Roos via Skype, not Zoom, Skype, a few months ago with Tony Dolan, the lead singer of Venom.inc. and of Atomcraft, the evil purveyor of bass madness that he is. Really top bloke. Really does a lot for charity, and he's just a really nice, down-to-earth rock and roller. Anyway, I recorded this again through Skype. Again, microphone on my laptop this time wasn't that good. Because I was recording it through video, I didn't want my big mic boom in my face, because it's going to go out on YouTube, and so the audio wasn't great again. It's better than it was with the previous one because I was a little bit more canny with not going through my headphone mic, but it's still a little bit mixy, a little bit muddy. I apologise, guys. Anyway, the interview's cool. Tony's amazing. The album is brilliant. You'll find out on the interview. I do gush a bit. I myself, heroes are heroes, aren't they? And it's only my second real big interview. And these things, I can only get better. That's all I can say. Can only get better. I hope you enjoy it. I know there's another quite long one with no break in the middle. But settle in, enjoy. This is Tony Dolan and Venom.inc talking about his new album, There's Only Black. And their new album, I should say, There's Only Black. Which is a cracker of an album. If you want any more information, go back into my catalogue and you'll find I do a whole episode on that. And I also do a whole episode on Tony Martin's new album that I was interviewing about, which was Thorns. Anyway, hope you enjoy it. See you next week, guys. Bye for now.
So the new album's coming out.
Yep.
Yeah. So when's the release date for the new album?
Well, it's next Friday, so it's the 23rd. Right. So, a week today, the new album drops. And we so far have 3 singles which we released off the album, which the label chose. Just because we had a lot of time to wait in the queue for pressing. And although we could have done the digital stream sooner, but I'm kind of old school and I like the excitement of everything happening on one day. So we did 3 singles so far, and then on Friday the last single, which is the title track, goes out, lyric video with the. It's exciting.
Fantastic. Because I was just talking to a friend of mine about chatting to you. And we all have our own, like you have your own, like I've got my Black Sabbath singer, like my Black Sabbath singer is Tony Martin, right?
Yeah.
Right? And so you're my Venom singer because you are. Because Primeval is, it's just like, I got into Venom before, but then I was sort of just dancing around the outside. And then Primeval comes out and I was like, this is so revolutionary for me, so different. And that little 3-album spell is just like, for me, my Venom, right? So it's so exciting when you formed Venom.inc in 2015. I was like, this is going to be revolutionary. And it's such a great album. Yeah.
I mean, I think, you know, I don't, you know, the classic is the classic and it's still there. So it doesn't matter what happens after a classic. You know, like Lemmy said, you know, he wrote better songs than Ace of Spades, and how many albums after the Ace of Spades? But the Ace of Spades is the Ace of Spades. You can't change that. And I think
exactly.
I think that's an important thing, Tone. You just said. I think, you know, when people say, "Oh, that's not, this isn't," it's like, yeah, for you. But for you as an individual, because there's, you know, there's people who weren't alive then and who joined the band at a different stage, and for them, you know, even Calm Before the Storm or Resurrection or Temples of Ice or The Wastelands or Hell or Metal Black, there's always a point where somebody joins and that becomes their calling card. You know?
Absolutely.
And that's good. I mean, that's good. How many, you know, how many bands have that kind of, you know, everybody wants that, you know, to re-find a band in a different way, you know. Of course, Iron Maiden's longevity, Metallica's longevity, you know. For every Black album, you have a St. Anger. For every Master of Puppets, you have a Lord and Reload, you know. So it's a journey we're all on, and sometimes sometimes it's better than other times for you as an individual. But it is an individual. It's not a collective in a way, because we experience music as individuals, and that's what's brilliant about it.
Yeah, and that's why. So I was going to say to you, with the Ave, when it came out, you find that you found a new audience.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean. You know, I put Down Flies out as the single, and you know, I did that to, I guess, to make a point. You know, I edit it from the 6 minutes it is on the album to a 4-minute version, and it wasn't what people expected. You know, it would have been very easy to put up Metal We Bleed and have the old school fans going, "Ah, yeah, brilliant, that's what we expected."
Yeah.
Why give them what they're expecting? Let's give them something that makes them want to listen, or misjudge. They misjudge it. It was an exposition on how people judge things, you know, and comments on the back of Down Flies were, "Oh my God, is the whole album going to sound like that?" It's like, well, it's one track. I mean, it's one track. So you're going to judge everything you haven't heard on one track. Why not wait and experience it? So it was a kind of punctuation. And, you know, I remember there was a French fan, old school fan, who'd been very supportive and loved all things Venom, everything, and didn't disparage between, you know, him and me and them and this and that one and this one. I just loved it all. And when I put down, he actually wrote me a message and said, "You have destroyed my whole life. You know, everything I thought about the band, and I don't know what this single is supposed to be. Poor man's Rammstein. It just sucks. It's the worst thing that could have ever happened to me. I can't believe you've let me down in this way." And of course, then the album went out, and then he wrote to me several months later going, "Can I just say I was totally wrong. I can't stop playing Down Flies every time I get into my car and do my job. It's one of my favorite songs ever." And that's it. You just, a knee-jerk reaction is to think, you know, I just saw a German reviewist a week ago that said, you know, he didn't say the album was bad. He said, it's okay, but they're not remarkable. But he said, you know, you listen to the opening song, Come to Me, How Many Can Die? And then it goes into infinitum, and it's just exactly the same song. But it's like, right, okay. And then judged everything on that. And it's like, well, okay, you wouldn't know that, but those two songs are part one and part two of the same song. So that's probably why there's a similarity, there's connective tissue in there.
Yeah.
But you only get that from discussion, and you only get that from really involving yourself with the album and giving it time to speak to you. You know, some things... Some things like are just pop music. You know, you make popcorn. It's gone in a couple of minutes. It's taken you a couple of minutes to make it. It's done. But if you go out for a steak dinner for your anniversary and you're going to have, you know, the whole 5 courses, now you've got a real experience. You're gonna spend the whole night. It isn't popcorn, it's actually food, So I guess that's kind of how I want it to be always. So it might take longer for some people and less time for other people, but just enjoy it. Take your time. Don't rush it. Just take your time.
See, we had a friend who Iron Maiden album came out. We were in lockdown. The single came out and he was in absolute tears. He was like, "This is awful. I can't stand it."
Yeah, why have they done this to my life?
I know. And I said, "Can it just?" I said, "Take a chill pill. Wait for the album. It's out of context."
Yes.
And when he got the album and he played, he goes, "Tony, I'm so glad you gave me some common sense because I was so ready to be angry." I said, "But there's a context.
Yeah.
Don't read a book by one page. You read the whole book."
Yeah, exactly. That's exactly it. Tony, I couldn't have put it better myself. It's what I always say to people. It's like, you have to have it in context, and it is. You don't judge. You don't judge that book on one page. Lord of the Rings. No. You read the whole thing. If it still doesn't connect to you, that's okay too. Not everything might connect with you, but give it a chance. Don't just. I think it's in this world we're in now, whereas there's 360 channels on TV, and I used to watch my daughter. She would go click 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 click, and then go. There's never anything on TV to watch. It's like there's 360 channels. That's impossible. There's got to be something. But it's what do I want to see? That's the question. What do I want? And you might want comfort, and comfort is repetition. I want. It's those people saying, "Why don't Metallica make Master of Puppets again?" And I just heard a remark from Tom Araya the other day when a question on, Rain and Blood, the definitive Slayer album. And I love Slayer. All of it, but the definitive Slayer album, and he just laughed and went, "Yeah, but we would never make that again." And it's like, why wouldn't you want to make one? It's like, well, it's not that we would want to or not want to. We can't, because that was that moment. And
it's that genie in the bottle moment, right?
Yeah.
You let it out once, it doesn't go back again.
Exactly.
You can't get it out again.
And you could take that between, people going, "Oh, Welcome to Hell," or black metal, or Possessed, or Primeval, or Wastelands, or Resurrection, or Ave, or Fallen Angel from Conrad. It's like, once you try and manipulate it to sound like that older you, it's fake. It's fake. It doesn't have the resonance because, I was 20 when I wrote that. I was 30 when I wrote this. I was 40 when I wrote this, and I'm 50 when I wrote this. So all of those things play in. You evolve. When you're 17, you put your finger up and say, "These people are wankers." Why? Because they just are. But when you're 50 and put it up and goes, "These people are wankers." Why? You've got a whole list of reasons why they're wankers and examples to go with it. So, everything is a moment. Yeah.
I do. I made a note when I listened to the singles off the album, and they're brilliant, by the way, all of them.
Thank you.
It's very. Yeah, I think that you're becoming very more progressive in your musical sound.
Yeah.
Am I right? It feels more like, how do I say this? Ave sounds completely on its own. It can't be. It's sort of separate, right? But then I listen to the new tracks, and it feels really modern. It feels very modern and very progressive.
I think that's a truism. I think I've heard people say about the progressive nature, and it's always a band will evolve. You evolve, but you have to stay with your identity, of course, because you are if what you're doing and the intent of what you're doing is real, so therefore it's being evoked by you, who you are, and your character goes into that, then it's real. It's not constructed, if it's not contrived, it's just real. In order to achieve that, you have to be honest with yourself in that moment. So this is what we are, this is what I do, this is what I feels good, and this is how I'm doing it. And then that will transmit to people listening to it. And I think that, You know, we're not going, oh, let's make it a bit thrashy. What about this? We can make it a bit doomy, or we can make it a bit...
No, it's not contrived. It's not contrived.
Not contrived. It just happens. It just happens. But I think that's what's always the beauty about myself and Mantis when we look to writing new stuff, or we've looked to an approach. We haven't tried to manipulate it in any way. We haven't tried to mimic ourselves in any way or plagiarize ourselves. I'm always pushing him to just be in the moment. How does that feel? Feels good. If it feels good, it's good. If it feels good, it's good. Then that's what we go with, because you can only go with the feeling and the evocative nature of that. And like saying to Kling when Jeremy, when he had to approaching the drums, when he began to record in his studio in Tampa, and he said, how should I approach this? And I said, feel it. If you feel it, then just it'll play itself. You don't have to do
brilliant.
it. Yeah, and that's what happens. Even, you know, Tone, when I've spoken about this before, when I've done albums, you know, sometimes I went into the studio in the old days when we were recording and for a vocal day. And I remember once the engineer went like, do you want to give me a copy of the lyrics? And I was like, okay. And I said, so should we just get going? And he went, yeah, do you want to give me the copy? I said, I haven't written them yet. I'll give you a copy at the end. And he was like, what do you mean you haven't written them? Fucking hell, we're doing vocals. And I was like, yeah, but the music's going to tell me what to say. He's like, what? And so I said, just play the music. And as he played it, I wrote each line down, sung it, each line, sung it, each line, sung it.
And that's I've done that in the past myself, because I'm not a lyricist by any means. But I've tried. I couldn't do it on a bit of paper. I could only do it when I was in the moment.
Yes.
You have a basic idea, but when you're in the moment.
Yeah, because it's almost like, you know, it's like my daughter does she's like a very she's doing a university course, she's doing her degree, and she's an incredible like cartoon fantasy artist. And sometimes when she draws, and this is the analogy I'm drawing together here, sometimes when she draws, I explained it's almost like she's unveiling it on the paper, like it's already on the paper. She's not putting it on the paper. She's just taking the paper away to reveal it. Yeah. And that's how I always feel with the music. You know, when Jeff would send me music through, what do you think? How did it make me feel? If it made me feel good, I go, yep, it's good. Put it to one side. Just, yep, good. Put it to one side. Not feeling that one. Maybe change this, maybe. But that's how I work through it, because it's like, the music is there, you're just finding it through your instrument. It's already there, it's already written. You're just finding it, putting it together. And then the same thing with the lyric. The music, its theme, its feeling, its tempo, its atmosphere will all tell you what it wants to say. That's why it's the way it is, you know? So
And you being a bass player, I'm a bass player as well, right? You're very in tune with the music, because you're at the heart of the music. You know what I mean? As a bass player, I feel.
Completely. I think that's right. You know, it depends on, you know, I play jazz basses. I really like that the brightness and that I can get depth, I can get lightness, you know, chording and straightforward bass. And I just, you know, there's a thinking theory, you know, you could be a Cliff Evans or something, or you could be, you know, like in Priest or whatever, and the idea is you just sit on the rhythm, so you're bumper to 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 bumper, just on the rhythm. That's okay, of course, because you need you need those frequencies. So the drums and then the bass sits with that. I like to do that, but I also like to play it as an instrument, because there's possibilities. You can do what Flea does. You know,
I'm the same. Yes.
You know, the more exciting the drummer is for me, the more exciting I am to play, because I'm going where he goes. And even on this album, you know, me and Jeremy, he would hear me do something and he would accent it, and I would hear him do something and I would accent him. And then, of course, then you give that to Jeff to just put his stuff on top, and it's just comes alive. It comes alive. So,
I mean, it's a match made in heaven. I mean, Jeff is a genius, you know. Yeah. And, I mean, just like what a match. Yeah. You know, perfect match.
Yeah, you know, it's even, you know, we talked about the him and me, you're not Kronos, and, you know, blah blah blah. But but they had, Conrad and Jeff, in those early, they had a synergy. There was something between the two of them.
There was a punk energy.
Yes. And me and Jeff have that in a different way, probably more musical, dare I
more
say,
technical.
more the musicianship, but we have that. So it's almost like I don't even have to know where he's going to go, because I know where he's going to go, if you know what I mean. I don't have to watch him.
Yeah.
He doesn't have to tell me what the chord progression is. He could play like 2 chords and I know exactly what he's going to do next.
Love it.
You just get in tune with them, yeah.
Yeah. And how are you enjoying playing the new tracks live? Are you enjoying that?
Brilliant, yeah. I mean, the idea was in 2019 we finished at Wacken. My hip collapsed and I was supposed to do surgery. They said maybe 8 to 12 weeks of recovery time. So I thought, okay. So I called Jeff and said, look, if I'm going to have this recovery time, it means downtime until January. So why don't I come to Portugal during the recovery, and we can just write new stuff for a new album because we've got the time, and then release it maybe March, April with the label. I discussed that, and then we go straight out on tour. Of course, pandemic hit. So
yes, I had tickets for Canberra, for you coming to Canberra. I was all ready.
I know, gutted. And so because it just went longer and longer and longer, it was like, fuck it. So I just said, well, look, we don't get this opportunity very often because you have to tour. So you have the pressure of release dates. It has to be delivered at a singular time. There has to be promotion. Then there has to be, before it goes out. And I said, but now we're in a pandemic, which could last a year or more. And of course it was more. I said, we don't have any of that pressure because we can't do anything. So why don't we just write and enjoy writing? So we used that to be free as we could and composed a total 24 songs, recorded 24 songs. The idea was going to split the album into 2. Part 1 and part 2, and I actually called the album 9, and it was based on Dante's Inferno, the 9 Circles of Hell. And so that's kind of dance, the dance macabre. That's the kind of reason for that was because of that. And I wrote the title track 9. Had the artwork going, and then it was kind of a few months in, and I was working, and Jeff sent me a song and said, "I'll just send a song. Would you have a listen? What do you think?" And I was like, yeah, okay. And I said, have you got any lyric ideas? He went, well, I kind of put lyrics on it because when I died, I had this experience. And he said, so I've kind of wrote about that. And he said, because I didn't see any hairy fairy lights and people holding their hands out. I just saw black.
Darkness.
And so I called it There's Only Black. And the moment he said that to me, it was like that's it. That's the album, There's Only Black, because it just spoke to on so many levels about everything, the lost souls, the what happens after life, what's in a black hole, what's at the end of the universe, those ideas that some of the questions that we ask ourselves we can answer. So you can say to me, you've been to Mount Everest? I say, yeah, I've been at the top of Mount Everest. What was it like? I go, well, it was like this, it was amazing, blah 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 blah. Now you have all this information, but you don't know what, and I don't know what's in a black hole. In order for me to know, I'd have to commit to it. I'd have to go into a black hole. Fine. Now I know, but I can't come back out again and tell you. No. And the same thing with death. I have to commit to death as an individual in order to experience what happens. But once I'm in, I can't come back and tell you. So the meaning became much bigger than and more encompassing. If the sun goes out, it's only black. If all the stars go away, there's only black. If you turn all the lights out, it's just black. So if you close your eyes, it's black. So it was like, wow, what is it? What is the answer? And so, and also I tried to put the logo on the front, but the logo just didn't sit very well. I even sent it to Jeff and said, it doesn't look right to me, and he couldn't make it work either. And then I was in a cemetery in North London, Highgate Cemetery, which is
I know it well.
Over there you are, and that's got a vampire cult and everything going on in there. It's a cool place to walk around, and I saw a headstone, and it used that font on it. And I just saw that and almost saw Venom.inc written in it. And I was like, that's it. That's So even that on the cover has a meaning, you know. So yeah, it's kind of dark and foreboding, but also it could be enlightening, you know. The invitation is if you go into the black hole, so come into the album, and when you leave or when you get in there, maybe you'll find an answer to something, maybe you'll find some light, maybe you'll find a reason, or maybe you'll just enjoy it. It's possible you won't, but maybe you will. But be open to that, you know, always just be open, keep an open mind.
I think that's your beauty of your music, is that you can do that with that music. You know what I mean? Within your framework, you can tell those stories. You can open those minds within your musical framework, and I think that's a fantastic aspect of it. You know?
Oh well, thank you.
I'm looking forward to it.
Thank you. I think that's the important thing is, like, you know, you're not dictating to people how it is. You're not. You know, you're provoking thought. You provoke them to think. You know, even the cover artwork on Arve, you know, there's the Lucifer. He has the panpipes to lead you away. He has the snakes in the pouch. There's a Temple of David, the burning tree, the tree of life, Adam and Eve, you know, the burning bush. There's the wolf, the sheep, wolf in sheep's clothing. There's the sheep. There's the scorched earth. There's the foreboding atmosphere. Is he coming to bring the end, or is he taking you somewhere else? And it provokes the onlooker is provoked into wondering, you know, Ave Satanis, is it praising, you know, Satan and all of that, or is it actually provoking anti-state, anti-religion, anti-rule? Is it provoking the one-ship, like Lucifer, you know, the light bringer? He was sent to earth to enlighten you, to bring you knowledge. Not like how does my fucking spark plugs work in my truck, or you know, how do I make a P&J sandwich? It's more about, you know, understanding who you are and how it is, and who you are in the framework of existence. And that's kind of what I wanted to do, you know. And the label boss said to me initially when I was talking about 9 as an album theme, and he said, okay, but do you think that's too cerebral for your fans? And I said, well, I would hope it isn't. I said, but as long as I can provoke people into thinking, it means they're involved. You know, if you walked in, I used to, before I did this cover, we walked in and I went into so many record stores and I looked at the artworks and I thought, you've got these incredible covers of incredible artwork, because people think about the music, because they also forget we have just a massive, amazing artists, painters and designers. And I would look at all these incredible works and think we could go for something totally overpainted, or I could go for something gothic, or I could go for something, a classic painting, you know, Dante's Inferno or Pandemonium or something like that. Yeah, you could do all those things. But I thought, well, how do I simplify it so that actually the onlooker, the participant, they have to answer the question. When they go, what is it? My answer could be, I don't know. What do you think it is? And then that is your answer, whatever you think. Yeah. The merchandising was a good thing, because I said, right, they were talking about merchandise for T-shirts, and I said, yeah. And they went, the front cover of the album. I went, no, a black T-shirt. And they went, yeah, but what's on the black T-shirt? And I said, nothing, because there's only black. And they were like, you're just going to sell people black T-shirts? I said, well, we could sell them some like fabric and say it's whatever you want it to be. But, you know, of course, people would think we're nuts. Would think I'm nuts. They do anyway. But I just thought that would be the epitome of thing. To give someone a black, can I buy the T-shirt of the new album? Just a black T-shirt with a gold pen and go, there you go, there's your T-shirt. There's nothing on it. I go, because it's whatever you want it to be.
I mean, I love that. I don't think your fans will be thinking it was too cerebral. I think that most of the people that have grown up listening to your music are intelligent people. You know what I'm saying? I think there will be a couple, of course. You're always going to get a couple. Yeah. But I think most people will go, man, this is so, like, it's deep, but enlightening as well. You know, like, it's an emotional trip from moment to beginning to end.
Oh,
and that's something all music should be, an emotional trip, right?
Yeah, yeah, it has to be an emotional experience because that's music, isn't it? You know, the music which doesn't matter that we don't speak the same language. It doesn't matter that we don't follow the same religion or any religion. It doesn't matter that our politics are completely fucked and different. You know, it's about the music, and that transcends things. That's personal communication. It's like, you know, two people of the same show don't hear the same thing the same way, or feel the same song the same way. So it's beyond all of that kind of stuff. So you're trying to attach to that, and I think you're probably absolutely right. You know, I don't think it's too cerebral, and I think if it obviously there's those people who, you know, just want to have music for the sake of the music, you know, but and hopefully we give them that as well. But if you want to feel more, if you want to dig a bit deeper, if you want to absorb it a bit more, you can do that too. And there's resolution in that for you possibly. But I think that's it. I think, you know, with the Venom thing is people would go, oh, fucking hell, more songs about Satan, la 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 la. You know, it's old hat. Yeah, it wasn't in 1981. Everybody was shitting their pants, but now it's like, well, you know, it sounds like just old time rock and roll. So I think, you know, where Jeff is kind of moved on in that thing of the shock value and that. It's like, well, I guess so have I. Really, I don't want to shock people. But I do want to communicate with people. So it's like, you know, instead of
I think you want to shape them. Yeah.
You know, one of the biggest things with us is acceptance of responsibility, humankind. I mean, you know, you walk into a room, there's a kid, he's 3 or 4 years old, he's standing there, your partner or your mom's favorite glass vase is smashed on the floor, it's all around him. He's standing there with his red face and he's got one hand on the shelf unit that it was on, and you're going to go, what the fuck? And he goes, I didn't do it. It's like, oh, well, of course you did, but you know, but that's our reaction. Our reaction immediately is like, oh, it wasn't me, even though it was you, even though it's all there. So, you know, we have that knee-jerk reaction, and I think I think it's just about getting beyond that. What makes us do that? Why do we do that? Why can't you just go, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to do that? You know, that's the thing that works. You know, that's the honest thing to do. But we find that in order to manage things, manage our lives in response of other people's reactions to us, we have to just lie a little bit here and just manipulate a little bit there and just find out what they want to say, what they want us to say, so we can get that job or, you know, parking space. So we're kind of trying to manipulate all the time. And maybe we don't need to. Maybe if nobody's doing that manipulation, maybe if we're all just being, this is what I am, this is who I am, and this is what I want, you know, we'll get much further and we'll find some kind of harmony. But I think while we propagate these kind of actions, you know, it's impossible for us to have that parity. It's possible for us to have that balance. We'll constantly be in conflict. And it's from day one, you know, from your parents saying go to bed, I don't want to go to bed, to, you know, Putin going, I'm going to go and save the world, and going, no, you're not saving anybody. They don't want you to do that.
No, you're just stealing a bit of it.
Yeah. One man's justification is another man's, but we lack the responsibility. We don't take the responsibility. I was wrong, you know, and that's kind of even that thing of absorbing that responsibility for actions is a kind of a new world way of looking at things. You know, you could talk to any psychoanalyst and they go like, so do you think that was your fault? That's what they're trying to get you just to go, it was me. But your natural defense is to push it away. It wasn't me. I was doing okay. It wasn't me. It was them. And it's like, well, maybe if you just go, it was me. And then you get into the Luciferian of light and knowledge, of enlightenment, is, what did I do? Who am I? Once you know who you are, that doesn't mean that you're not going to be able to stick to your principles and an eye for an eye, a tooth for a tooth. Like in the Bible, Anton maybe was a trickster and maybe did all he was saying, but the Satanic Bible has still got some very good tenets in there. You know,
I enjoyed reading it. Yeah,
I think it's brilliant. And you know, if I walk into a bar and a guy comes up and goes, hey, how are you? I'll go, hey, yeah, good. How are you? Yeah, I'm good. You know, oh, I saw, yeah, we're conversing and everything's on there. I'm reflecting how he is with me. If another guy comes up and he goes, do you want to move out of the way, you dickhead? You know, I'm going to go, why don't you go fuck yourself, you dickhead? You know, so I'm not instigating it. I'm just a reflection of how you are as a character.
Yeah, so, equal and opposite reactions, right?
Absolutely. So if you conduct yourself just being open, just being nice, just being benevolent, of course there's still going to be some dickheads along the way who have other things influencing them. But generally, that's the kind of harmony you're going to get back. You know. You know, if someone transgresses on you, you have every right to transgress back. They will then blame you for being the aggressor, but it's like, well, that's how it goes. You know, it doesn't. Nothing happens. Causality is, you know, nothing happens without an action is a reaction. So one action, you get a reaction. So it's up to you. Choice again. And again, that's the theme of the album. You know, there's only black, meaning, you know, there's no knowledge, there's no light until you learn it. So from day one, there's only black. It's up to you what happens after that. It's up to you what happens after that. You have to find your own answers as an individual. And maybe you will, maybe you won't, but give yourself the opportunity to learn, you know. Nobody ever finishes learning. Nobody knows everything. So give yourself that.
I think so. And I think this album is going to, I said it before at the beginning, I don't know how you're going to beat Ave, but it has to be, it's a big task to do better than Ave, but I reckon this is going to be one. It's going to do it, I reckon.
Oh, well, thank you so much. I mean, that's great to hear, Tony, and I hope so. You know, I mean, Ave did really well. You know, I hadn't even considered figures because I don't look at the numbers. It's just about the experience and the playing, and it was returned to me when they were talking about this album and we were rolling up to do stuff. The Ave had got, when it went out, over 1.2 million streams on one of the platforms, Deezer or Spotify or something. And then there was the other numbers, and I was like, eh? And I was like, oh my God, I didn't realize that it actually communicated that well, because I hadn't thought about it, you know, and everybody's been so positive about this. We got, I think, Metal Roos just gave us the other day 10 kangaroos out of 5. And I was I think their maths is a bit wrong, but then I was like, hey, I'm not questioning that. That's good. But so far, I mean, the responses have been amazing. The responses have been amazing, and I hope that translates to the fans too. Everybody, you know, who liked Ave or even weren't that sure, you know, wants something more because we've only actually done one at the minute, so this is the second one. But as long as it fits into the catalogue, you know, the whole idea of Incorporated is not to challenge, there's 2 Venoms and there's him and there's me and there's this and you've got to be on that side of the fence. So this is none of that. It's just to produce music that adds to the wealth of the legacy of the band, you know. It's not about ownership. It's just about fans and music. Full stop. That's all it should be.
And that's why your music is so real, because you don't think about numbers. You're not going, I need to make this a platinum album. You're going to make it for yourself, and I think it comes across that way as well.
Oh, good. You know, and that's the thing. It's like, you know, if you're going to be a musician, particularly these days, you know, people go, you can't make any money anymore, you know, and you get all those Gene Simmons statements and stuff like that. It's like, maybe you can't be as rich as Kiss anymore. But Metallica aren't Kiss, and they're rich. So you're saying they couldn't. They did it like a while after you did it. And then, you know, Behemoth are doing it now. Rammstein have done it. Ginger will do it. You know, so it's like, well, hang on. So who are you talking to? It's not like the old days because you don't have the amount of money coming in, because people aren't advancing your money based on physical sales, because digital sales are less. All of that's great. And, you know, having a house in Malibu, or, you know, having your own private jet and flying yourself to shows, and wonderful. And the Scorpions, and look, they're on their own private jet. Fantastic. That's what a hit single might do or whatever. But it's like, if I don't have that, am I still going to do music? Yeah. Am I still going to produce? Because it's not about that. You could have everything in the world or nothing in the world, but player's a player. When you had, you know, you had the old blues players sitting on porches in the Delta playing music, they were poor people. they were poor people. You know, they weren't they weren't mega rich stars with private jets. They were sitting on porches. They still recorded. Yeah. So there's a realness to that. There's a real emotional involvement to it. So it's like never lose that, you know. Let's go work in a studio in Upper Manhattan and, you know, spend like $400,000, you know, with a producer deconstructing and reconstructing songs until we have a smash hit. It's like, or just get out there and play music to the people and just write.
You know, you're an Englishman like me. There's an old saying, you know, like the blue touch paper and stand well back, right?
Yes.
That's what it is. Right? It's basically that. It's just light the flame and walk away, and it will explode for you, right? That's it.
And also that's it, Tony. And also don't look back. Don't look over your shoulder, because the minute you look back, you're showing that you're interested in and you're hoping that. So don't worry about that. Just keep moving forward. Keep moving forward. And if you keep moving that thing forward, people will connect to it. They may not connect to it today or tomorrow. It may be in a year's time or 10 years' time. You know, I just had someone just yesterday, I think it was, wrote something, you know, and said, oh, it would be nice if whatever it was. And I started to send them links and said, yeah, but this was done about 6 years ago. Oh, was it? So it's like, well, you know, we didn't hide that, but they're 6 years late, but it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter how late you are to the party, as long as the food's still there.
No.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, as long as the beer's still flowing.
Yes, exactly. Yeah.
All right. Thanks for chatting, Tony. It's been a really great chat. It really has.
That was brilliant, and I'm so sorry about all the, like, when you were ringing, I was like, and I've got the list, and I was going, I don't know when Tony's supposed to be, and I was like, oh shit, I forgot. So
it's all good. It's all good. But I'm really looking forward to the album coming up. Before you get into Australia, you've got to get back here soon, right?
Yeah, well, we scheduled. I was just saying that we, because we were delayed so long, but I talked to Dougie and Amabel at Hardline. And I talked to the Exciter because they were in town 2 weeks ago, and I went to see them. And so I think we're coming down March, April, May, around about there.
Oh, yeah, brilliant. That's my birthday month. You come March, right?
Oh, perfect. Okay, brilliant. And I'll tell you what, John, I'll save you one of the. Can you see that?
Oh, I love one of those. Oh,
I'll save you one of those. Which are from the anniversary show, so I'll save you one of those.
Oh, you're a legend. You're a legend.
Top job. All
right, man. You enjoy the rest of your day, all right?
All right, Tony. Thank you so much. That was brilliant. That was awesome. Brilliant. Be good, and we'll talk very soon.
Yeah, keep safe.
See you, T. You too.
Bye, mate.
Bye, man.
Bye, mate.